Welcome to my living room. I hope that for the next few weeks, you will be able to gather with your family somewhere like this to watch this new series that we are beginning. Now, as we are going to discuss, families can look very different. So you might not be able to gather with all or any of your family during this live stream. But I think that whether your whole family is together in the living room or if you're alone in your bedroom watching UNITEDlive, that the next 4 weeks can help you understand that no family is actually normal. In fact, before we even get started, let's take a baseline poll. Compared to other families you know, how normal is your family? Here are the options that I want you to type in the comments. You're super normal, kind of normal, not so normal, and totally not normal. Go ahead, talk amongst your family, and when you're ready, put in the comments below what you think you are. And by all means, feel free to call out a family whose answer you think should be different than what they write. Oh, and by the way, my family, super normal. Like I said, super normal. Here's the deal though. If you are like most people, there has been a time growing up that you wished you had a different family. Maybe you think your family is not so normal. I'm sure there are probably times you wish your family looked more like other families. Maybe your family is pretty normal and you actually love it and that's awesome. Or maybe your family feels too normal and you sometimes wish they were a little more different, a little more interesting. No matter what kind of family you have, I hope you know that you and your family matter and you're loved by God. In fact, do you want to know a secret? No matter what you think about your family, no one truly has a normal family, and that's okay. No family is perfect, not even the ones that seem normal on the outside. No matter what word you or someone else has used to describe your family, broken, blended, imperfect, abnormal, dysfunctional, or whatever of the many other adjectives that could be used, I only want you to focus on one thing that you need to know about your family tonight. And that is God can use your family to do great things. Now, maybe that sounds unlikely right now, but just wait until you hear about the families we're going to meet in this series. If God could use these families to do something great, trust me, God can use your family too. And it all begins with the very first family there ever was. Here in a moment, we are going to read about this first family in Genesis chapter 4. But before we get there, let me put into perspective the timeline of events that have happened in the previous 3 chapters. So, you've got Genesis chapter 1, the creation story. God created everything on earth and in the heavens in 6 days. Chapter 2, man in the garden, and God creates woman and the family. Genesis 2:24, right here, marriage and family is established by God. Then you've got Genesis chapter 3, the temptation and the fall of man. In fact, chapter 3 ends with Adam and Eve being banished from the Garden of Eden. So that is what has happened so far. Now let's pick up the story from the very beginning of Genesis chapter 4, verse 1. Now Adam had sexual relations with his wife Eve, and she became pregnant. When she gave birth to Cain, she said, "With the Lord's help, I have produced a man." Later, she gave birth to his brother named Abel. When they grew up, Abel became a shepherd, while Cain cultivated the ground. When it was time for the harvest, Cain presented some of his crops as a gift to the Lord. Abel also brought a gift, the best portions of the firstborn lambs from his flock. The Lord accepted Abel and his gift, but he did not accept Cain and his gift. This made Cain very angry, and he looked dejected. "Why are you so angry?" the Lord asked Cain. "Why do you look so dejected? You will be accepted if you do what is right. But if you refuse to do what is right, then watch out. Sin is crouching at your door, eager to control you. But you must subdue it and be its master." One day, Cain suggested to his brother, "Let's go out into the fields." And while they were in the field, Cain attacked his brother Abel and killed him. Afterward, the Lord asked Cain, "Where is your brother? Where is Abel?" "I don't know," Cain responded. "Am I my brother's guardian?" But the Lord said, "What have you done? Listen, your brother's blood cries out to me from the ground. Now you are cursed and banished from the ground, which has swallowed your brother's blood. No longer will the ground yield good crops for you, no matter how hard you work. From now on, you will be a homeless wanderer on the earth." Cain replied to the Lord, "My punishment is too great for me to bear. You have banished me from the land and from your presence. You have made a homeless wanderer. Anyone who finds me will kill me." The Lord replied, "No, for I will give a sevenfold punishment to anyone who kills you." Then the Lord put a mark on Cain to warn anyone who might try to kill him. So Cain left the Lord's presence and settled in the land of Nod, east of Eden. So Cain was so full of anger, hurt, and jealousy that he literally killed his own brother and then tried to lie about it to God. I mean, have you ever let your emotions get the best of you? It's so easy to do with family members, isn't it? Nobody knows how to push your buttons quite like the people that live in your house. Cain let his emotions drive him to do something terrible. But think about God's response to Cain. I mean, yes, Cain's sins had to be punished. And just like the sins of Cain's parents, they had serious consequences. But also, just like Adam and Eve, God still cared for Cain and showed him that there was hope. This is how God's relationship with humanity began. The very first couple got kicked out of their home, their relationship with God broken. The first natural born children to grow up, one killed the other. This family story began with such hope and promise, yet over time, it turned into a story of failure, betrayal, jealousy, anger, and tragedy. To some degree, maybe some of those words I just used resonate with things that have happened in the past with your family. You tell yourself, how could God ever redeem or use me or my family? Well, here's my response. He can use you the same way He redeemed and used the first family. Back in Genesis 3, God made His first prophecy about what would come from the offspring of that first family. Genesis 3:15 says, "And I will cause hostility between you and the woman, and between your offspring and her offspring. He will strike your head, and you will strike his heel." Even though the first family messed up big time, God had a plan from the beginning to continue to use the offspring of this family to change the world. I mean, yeah, this first family made some big mistakes, but honestly, we've been making big mistakes ever since. But I am so thankful that our God uses messed up families and messed up people. Adam and Eve introduced sin into the world, but God used their family to conquer sin forever through Jesus. I mean, what an amazing reminder that every family, including imperfect, not so typical families, can be used by God. I want to leave you with this final thought tonight. Stop focusing on the things that have happened in the past. Every family has things they wish they could change. Family secrets that they wish didn't exist, or big mistakes that have been made. So here's what I'd like for each of you to do. At the end of the sermon, I'm going to share a graphic with some questions. After tonight's live stream, I want you to gather around with your family and answer these questions together. Peace. Hey guys, man, thank you so much for joining us for week 1 of our new series, Atypical. Each week in Atypical, we're going to be looking at scripture and looking at a different family that God has used throughout history. And each of these families are going to be, a little messed up. But man, I am so glad that God does that. He uses messed up people and messed up families for His will and His glory. I really hope that you'll take my challenge seriously and that after this video is over, if you've gathered together to watch this live stream with your family, you'll take some time and answer these questions together. If not, man, I'd love to help you answer some questions if you're by yourself. In the description of this video, you'll see a Connect card. And if you don't know me or United Student Ministries or Memorial Baptist Church, if we've never met, I'd love for you to be able to fill out that Connect card and I could learn some more about you. But thank you for joining us. I hope you will join us again next week for week 2 of Atypical. I'll see you later.